Hello, everybody, and welcome to Analyzing Finance with Nick. Today, we're going to be doing another economic future series, and I'm going to be talking about the economic future of Turkey. Actually, the background, for those of you who are not familiar, is the city of Bodrum in Turkey, which is a nice city on a Mediterranean coast in southwestern Turkey, where it's actually the first place that I stopped when I went and visited Turkey myself back in 2015. And I have a special guest here today, Fatih Hezel, who has a very interesting career background, both in government and the business world in Turkey. And before we get into a specific discussion about the economy of the country, Fatih, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah. So, Nick, thanks for having me today. We are friends from our social gatherings, and I saw your YouTube channel. It really shows your dedication and passion for this, and I truly appreciate your effort. You're putting too much effort and too much information in this series, and it has been a pleasure to be here with you today. And so I started my career early, uh, right after college, starting my position in Turkish government, working as a policy analyst, and I served almost 12 years in the Prime Ministry of Turkey, also the regulatory authority for telecoms, and I did my master's in Columbia University in New York. And after finishing my master's, I had the chance to work as a consultant in the World Bank in Washington, D.C., covering digital transformation projects across Middle East and North Africa. And in the last 7 years, I co-founded a small consulting company operating in the US and in Istanbul. So it has been 2 years here in California, and I'm really excited to cover the recent developments in the region. Thank you.
Okay, so our first real question is just really broad based, and that is like, what's your current general overall outlook on the Turkish economy?
So yeah, my current view on the Turkish economy is going to be cautious due to challenges since September 2021. Inflation has doubled, creating complexity. In 2022, Turkey's GDP was a little bit above $900 billion, and that is less than 1% of the global economy. And In this year, 2023, economic growth is expected to be around 3.7, and mainly due to weaker exports, with domestic demand driving will be the driving force for the growth. And an earthquake happened in February this year in the southern part of Turkey, and the construction efforts are expected to offset much of the impact, and unemployment projected to be around 10% throughout the year, as it was last year, and the inflation will remain high again, over 40% in this year and in the coming year as well. And Turkey has gone through a general election past few months, and President Erdogan will be running for the next coming 5 years, and Turkey is going to have its municipal elections very soon as well. And monetary and fiscal policies will be supporting the economy under the new administration, but managing inflationary expectations will be remaining challenging. Transparent communication, careful policy rate increases are recommended almost all the economists all around the world, and structural reforms are going to be one of the main policy topics, as well as the easing doing business in Turkey as well. So in 2022, Turkey's economy grew by 5%, and previous year it was like 11%, and with strong private consumption. But Turkish lira depreciated by 30%, and the inflation reached 24-year high. Concerns arise about the forex liquidity and the bank's exposure to government bonds, but fiscal support will be on the way, and that's leading the rapid growth, and is going to be the main driver of the growth as well. But these efforts are not lowering the borrowing costs for Turkish government.
Okay, so my questions with Turkey is somebody who's been following as an outside investor in emerging markets for the last 15 years or so, is that they had a good run at the beginning of Erdogan's presidency. He made a lot of needed reforms and improved it as a place to attract capital. But as he got a little bit too comfortable, and I'm starting to see like a pattern about like 10 years is kind of the ceiling for a lot of leaders, no matter how they're elected in any country, things start to unravel a little bit. And it'll basically post 2012, Turkey's economy has really struggled with structurally high current account deficits, high inflation, and crazy attempts to use unconventional monetary policy to solve it, and just general distrust due to political volatility. And my question really on this is that due to all the shakeups in the currency and capital account flows and geopolitics, is it going to take a leadership change in Turkey to fix its existing economic trajectory, or can Turkey right its ship under Erdogan's administration?
So yes, indeed. If we make a quick flight back to 20 years of Erdogan's administration to the country, Turkey suffered a lot from the previous economic crisis early in 2000, and actually with the help of IMF and other international development institutions, Turkey has gone through a transformational change program that was led by at the time Kemal Dervish, and after Erdogan came into power in 2022, he managed to keep the playbook.
You mean 2002, right?
In 2002, yeah. So they really did well during their initial time. But whether a leadership change away from Erdogan is necessary to fix the economic trajectory right now, I think it's a great question. However, in the last 20 years, things happening in Turkey could not be explained as simply as it is the economy, stupid kind themed commentaries that we used to see back in time. However, the inflation issues appear to be driven by Erdogan's economic policies, especially in the last 10 years, and that was particularly his advocacy for low interest rates and his skewed approach to monetary, maybe in a radical approach. So the question of whether a leadership change away from Erdogan is necessary to fix Turkey's economic trajectory is a complex one. While Erdogan's economic policies advocating, again, the low interest rates have contributed to the inflation, Turkey's economic challenges stem from a mix of factors such as domestic policies, geopolitics, and global conditions.
Yeah, and what accounts for Turkey having such a high current account deficit? Isn't it as a country with a lower wage scale compared to the EU, and as a rising hub of manufacturing. Shouldn't they be having a current account surplus? So what is going on with that, and what can be done to fix it?
I mean, you are right. Like Turkey struggles with the structurally high current account deficit for many years, like which is likely exacerbated by the factors such as the depreciation of lira and Turkey's reliance on imported energy and heavy reliance on raw materials and the intermediary goods for the manufacturing industry, which was the leading industry for the last 20 years in Turkey. So to fix this, measures to improve fiscal policy and reduce reliance on the credit-driven growth could be helping the government to address these issues. But Turkey struggles with again the structurally high current account deficit due to the combination of factors. Like one primary reason is going to be the country's dependence on the imports in energy, intermediate goods, raw materials, and high energy intensive industries, and domestic consumption also contribute to a significant import bill on Turkey. So also, moreover, the tourism industry actually is historically a source of foreign exchange, and in the past few years has faced actually a lot of challenges impacting the services trade balances. To address this, Turkey could focus on diversifying its export space, promoting high value added industries, and encouraging domestic production to reduce import reliance. Those all topics are actually in the economic program for many years, and Turkey is deploying subsidy-based programs to support export industries.
So how much of the decline in Turkish tourism is due to the pandemic, and how much of it is due to perceived safety risks because of geopolitics?
So I think when we are talking about any topic related to Turkey, I think that we should always put heavy importance on the geopolitics. So I have, in my experience, so if we like go back to the original question, the current economic conditions and the political leadership and the unconventional economic policy advocated by Erdogan and the world's reaction to that, we have seen that he has been facing such criticism from all around the world, and from major economies, and also from the economists. But what we have seen is actually Erdogan is finding a discourse to change the attention on his policies, and he is bringing all these issues related to his perceived economics instead of mainstream. So I think related to current account deficit, again, Turkey has been facing these issues for many years, but at the same time, the inflation has become the main source of the imbalances, especially after September 2021.
Yeah, and then speaking of monetary policy, the issues with the Turkish central bank go way farther than Erdogan. They actually had to reset the currency in 2001 because of a mini hyperinflation scare. And my question is that why does the Central Bank of Turkey have such a historically weak track record that's really only comparable to places like Argentina? And is it possible that the country will either dollarize or euroize its economy just because the international financial markets just don't trust the credibility of the lira?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you are right again. Like Turkish lira is not facing an exorbitant privilege as well as the other currencies in the world. But Turkish central bank, as you mentioned, poor track record can be attributed to its policy decision recently, especially influenced by President Erdogan's unconventional monetary approach, including the slashing interest rates in the face of rising inflation. But again, Turkey is a geopolitically strategic country, and it's in the between the rising tensions or frozen conflicts in the region. So often governments try to find themselves in the balance of these priorities. So central bank tried to implement its mainstream inflation targeting right after the crisis in the early 2000s. And as we discussed earlier, after Erdogan also came into power in 2022, he followed that the program outlined by the IMF and the Kemal Dervish, and the theme was like the transitioning into a strong economy. And indeed, Turkey, in terms of the openness to international finance and the trade flows has increased tremendously compared to those years. So right now, inflation policies and also other monetary policies are highly constrained by the limitation of Turkey's geopolitical positioning and Erdogan's approach and his public support.
Has there been chatter at all in the political class of Turkey, whether through Erdogan supporters or opposition, of pegging the lira to the euro?
So I think Turkey has tried to peg its currency in the beginning of the crisis in the late 90s. And it was helpful to bring the hyperinflation to a level that right now we are complaining about. It was around 50 or 60 percent annually. So again, comparing Turkish economy to the past is going to be misleading because central banks are especially like constrained with their powers to manage the monetary base right now, right? So it's going to be really difficult for them to have control over the currency with the open market, financially open market. So I think the best scenario for Turkish lira and inflation would be joining the euro area in the past, but that has been a topic from the past because early in the beginning of 2010, actually Turkey has I can't say that lost its hope to join the EU, but there was a big shift in the direction of country in following the European standards, and its European integration almost came to a halt. So when we are talking about like creating pegging standards for Turkish lira and expecting Turkish central bank to assume the responsibility of that peg I don't see it is possible at this moment.
So then let's look at the optimistic side then. What are some bright spots in the Turkish economy, and what industries do you think in Turkey are going to grow at a higher rate than the baseline GDP.
So one of the few good moves was the focus on credit expansion for smaller firms and reconstruction efforts in the earthquake zone, and which could contribute to the economic growth in coming months. Bright spots in Turkish economy will include the sectors like information technology, e-commerce, and automotive manufacturing. These industries have demonstrated resilience and growth potential. Additionally, the agriculture and agribusiness sectors hold promise for a higher than baseline GDP growth, given the Turkey's agricultural potential and export opportunities.
And then what would be like the Goldilocks path for Turkey? Like what could they do, or what would need to take place in the world for Turkey to have like a more consistent path to prosperity like they did in like the pre-2008 decade?
Yeah, a return to a consistent prosperity similar to 2000s decade would likely require a more balanced and sustainable economic policy approach. This might involve addressing inflation through a combination of prudent monetary and fiscal policies, and as well as the measures to support low-income households and reconstruction efforts in order to bring Turkey back to prosperous times of the 2000s. I think a comprehensive and a multifaceted approach must be taken. This can include like structural reforms to enhance business environment, increase labor productivity, attract foreign investment. It also requires prudent monetary and fiscal policies to ensure macroeconomic stability. Investing in education, aligning with the regional and international unions, and will be helping to raise the standards in education, research, and innovation, which will foster the economic growth in the future.
And then how does German deindustrialization affect Turkey? Because one of my recent videos I did in this series was about Germany and how they're basically, due to environmental politics, voluntarily shutting down their heavy industry, which was like the core of their economy. And Germany and Turkey have a lot of trade ties, also a lot of migration ties that are often connected to the manufacturing industry. So how does what's going on in Germany affect the Turkish economy?
You know, like this is a fantastic question, and it's going to be a great topic in the coming future when we are talking about the Turkey's industrial transformation and its trade flows with European Union, also particularly with Germany. And I think I have seen your latest take on this as well on YouTube. I really enjoyed the information over there. So when I follow the Turkish Turkish agenda right now, like I don't see that it is it's one of the main topics is being discussed by the thought leaders or any politicians. But again, this topic is going to be foremost importance for Turkey in the future, because Germany has been prominent trade partner in terms of Turkey's exports for many years. On the import side, we see a lot of change in the first and the second, or even in the third trade partners, depending on the geopolitical shift and changing global dynamics. But again, in the export side, Germany is the number one country for Turkey, and anything changing in the German economy and German imports will have a huge effect on Turkey's export supported growth strategy. So in order to weather the growth effects of this deindustrialization in Germany, Turkey should definitely find ways to collaborate more with Germany and find ways to actually present itself as an alternative for this industrial shift. So Turkey can benefit from its geostrategic position and being a reliable trade partner with Germany.
And then it's just with trade flows in general. Over the last decade or so, or even just post-pandemic, has the trade flows of Turkey moved more towards or away from Europe, or or is it more focused now on Asia, the US, or its immediate neighbors in the Middle East? I keep hearing the term neo-Ottomanism popping up actually when it comes to these discussions. So like, how is the Turkish economic ties and trade flows changing over the years in terms of the geographics of their customer bases?
I was like recently checking the figures in the trade flows. So European countries are still the constructing the more than half of the Turkish trade partner, but on the intermediary goods, we see that there is a increasing import from Southeast Asia. This include mostly Taiwan and China. And over the past 10 years, we see that the share of these countries, especially related to intermediary goods, import of intermediary goods, has risen from 18% to 25%. So we still see a change in that direction. But again, Turkey's trade partners, especially on the import side, is being influenced by the geopolitical shifts and changes in global dynamics. Russia, for example, has been the first country that the most imports have been done by Turkey last year, and we see a huge increase compared to the previous year. So Turkey's heavy reliance on energy imports will be key in determining the trade flows, I guess. And regarding the Turkey's opening to neighboring areas, especially in the Middle East, and trying to exert its historical impact and combining its power in the region has benefited Turkish economy as well. And we see Iraq as a third trade partner third or fourth trade partner in many years. So this has been a great resource as a reliable market for Turkey as well as the other countries in the region. But again, we could definitely expect Turkey to extend its reach in the region and have better trade with its neighbors. But
so it seems like that even though Europe is still the linchpin to Turkish trade, a lot of the new flows and the growth and is pivoting more towards the East and Russia for energy and the Middle East for end consumer markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Europe is the main trade partner, but again, we see an increase in the in the Southeast Asia trade as well.
And so the final point we're going to get to before we wrap this up is there anything in terms of interesting points or things that you see going on in the Turkish economy that's just not like commonly well known? Like if you follow like CNBC or Bloomberg that you think would be interesting to our audience to discuss?
I mean, interesting points about Turkish economy. I think this again will include Erdogan's advocacy for low interest rates, and right now his hands are tied with the new set of policies implemented by his own administration, bringing interest hikes, policy interest rate hikes very recently. So it is interesting to see that he is still defending low interest rates to his political support base, but at the same time he's bringing his old finance minister, and in the first day of his job, like he's criticizing the previous efforts to bring low interest and losing credit growth, lose credit growth to support economic growth. So I think those are really interesting topics for economists to discuss and to see how Turkey is trying to find a way to get away with this, and also to see how Erdogan is bringing new rabbits from his head and try to surprise the whole world.
Yeah, it seems like a bright spot if like the Turkish central bank finds religion and actually tries to fight inflation the conventional way. Maybe there's going to be an opportunity out there finally for investors, whereas Turkey's been one of the worst performing emerging markets really for a long time before this moment. But yeah, thank you for joining us, Fatih. And if you ever want to talk about Turkey again, we'll have you back on as things develop in that part of the world.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to be with you, and thanks for having me. Thank you.